Hey everybody, so I wanted to come on today and talk about a surgery that my cat got. I posted something on Facebook that it was a cat that I think was getting adopted or something, and somebody had posted saying that the cat had gotten, I'm going to butcher this, perineal urethrostomy, perineal urethrostomy. And it's a surgery where the vet goes in and opens up their urethra and kind of opens it up into like a butterfly effect and then reattaches it to wherever it needs to get reattached to so that they cannot get blocked. If you have a male cat and have ever, looked into this surgery, you probably know what I'm talking about. And it's easily for male cats, is a lot easier for them to get blocked than female cats because of the shape of their urethra. And so I posted, this cat had this surgery and it pretty much had saved his life. I think he had been blocked. It's my cat sneezing. I think he had been blocked 2 or 3 times, and each time for them to go through, they have to catheterize them and then unblock them. And usually that's very expensive. So I think I paid for it the first time. It was like $600 at my vet for them to catheterize him and unblock him. From that point, hi Nix, can you say hi? Oh, let me grab him so you guys can see him real quick while he's right here. He just ate, so can you say hi? He's like, okay, see you later. So he's had the surgery and nothing looks any different on his butt. You wouldn't know. But it was a traumatic surgery. But in my eyes, it was absolutely better than having him get blocked, having multiple blockages. It was about the same cost to have what they also short it to PU, perineal urethrostomy, or PU, and it was about the same price to just do the surgery. And so my situation was kind of a complicated one where he was my first cat. I then wanted to get another cat. Since he was such a success, I had adopted him. I wanted to adopt another. They were great for the first year, and then they started fighting for dominance, and this is where this problem all started. A lot of times it can be food related. Most of the times it's stress related. At least that's what my vet told me. So I figured, at the time I wasn't ready to give up my other cat yet, which I did end up doing, and I think that also solved a lot of his problems, but I rehomed my second cat, which was really hard. But at the time that wasn't even on my radar. I didn't really even agree with the vet that this was stress, and was like, what can I do to prevent this in the future? I never want to have to go through this again. I'll just kind of abridge this really quick. I had received a call. I was living with my parents at the time, and I was working nights, and I got a call from my mom saying that Miko is hiding, doesn't look well, he's very aloof, he's not eating, he's not drinking, he's not using his litter box. So I think I gave it about maybe 12 hours to see. This was like at night, and then I called the next morning before and said, has he used the litter box? He has no appetite, nothing had changed. And so I called my vet. And my vet was great. She said that this is probably what's going on. And you need to get him in because this is an emergency and he could die. And I was like, oh, can I bring him in a couple hours? And she was like, no, he needs to come in now. He's blocked. He could die. So I was so glad that she educated me, and I left work and was able to get him in, and they diagnosed him very quickly and said, yes, this is what it is. He is blocked. That's what happened. And so I just wanted to prevent this from ever happening again. I was like, I never want to have to go through this again. It was such a scary thing. And they informed me that they could do this PU surgery to prevent it. And I said, let's do it, And when she said it was about the same cost as him being deblocked again, if this does happen, I was like, well, why wouldn't I just go ahead and get this done? So for everything, Um, I brought him back like a week and a half later, you know, when he was fully better. But I think for everything from him being catheterized the first time and then with the surgery, it was, you know, on my budget living with my parents, you know, working, you know, just not making a lot of money. It was really, I think it was like maybe $1,300-$1,400 for everything. So it was a lot. And it was just such a wake up call. Like, you know, animals are such a huge responsibility and anything can happen and you just never really know, and you think that, you know, you're just buying this food and now what? I have to buy completely different food, and you know, my best set plans just kind of started to crumble. Um, and so they went and did the surgery with him. After the surgery, he stayed there, I think, for about 3 days in the vet hospital just because they said he was really out of it. And they wanted to obviously do observation and make sure he was recovering. He's being really cute right now. Hi, Meeks. He just ate. So yeah, that happened, and just I would say, you know, I would recommend it. I would recommend it to anybody who wants to do this surgery. My vet had a specialist come in to do the surgery. He was really, really bruised for like the first 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, black and blue. He looked like he had like a baboon butt, they called it. And I had to isolate him from my other cat, and it was definitely nerve-wracking to see that, you know, it wasn't just a willy-nilly surgery. It was definitely a pretty intensive surgery. So yeah, but to anybody who, you know, I don't know what other vets cost. I have looked online and seen that other places charge a lot more for the surgery than the catheter, than just like fixing and unblocking them and catheterizing them. So that's a decision. If it is a lot more expensive, for me, it was an obvious decision because it was the same price. But if other places are charging a lot more, that's a decision you have to kind of make. But I still feed him the special urinary diet food. It's just from Purina, and it's not the, there's two kinds. There's one that's like a prescription form. It's not the prescription form. It's called like the chicken entree. And it says like urinary tract diet on it, and I buy it at Petco or Amazon. And it's canned food. They say that kibble makes it worse. It can exacerbate the problem. So I just kind of am prophylactically doing anything I can to keep him healthy. And this one person that had reached out to me asked if there's any ever leakage, or if, you know, he has any other incontinent issues or anything like that, and he doesn't. He uses his box just fine. I will say he was very he would constantly lick that area for like the first year after. And I remember asking my vet about it and being like, is it infected? Is something going on? And I would kind of look at it does, when you peel back the fur kind of, and he hated when I did it, but you could see, obviously this was when it was healed, it was red. That kind of mucosa area was definitely irritated. And she said, like, even though, you know, that it's not getting blocked, it still can be irritated. It's not going to be life-threatening at this point. And so I think him living with the other cat, the stress and everything, it was still getting irritated. It just wasn't at that point of like lethal status. But once I rehomed my other cat, I think that stress and all of that was alleviated, and he hasn't had a problem since. So I definitely recommend the surgery. And if you guys have any questions, I know it's not that popular of a subject, and I feel like there's not a lot of people, a lot of cat owners that have come on and kind of talked about their experience with that, and kind of making that tough decision. And by the way, I don't think I said this, my cat, when he was first happened, he was about a year old. So he wasn't an older cat. It was at the beginning of his life. So I definitely knew that, you know, I wanted to make this decision so that he could have a long, happy life, that he wouldn't have to worry about this again, and that I wouldn't have to face this again, because, I mean, that is the most stressful thing. Like, for people who don't have kids, I know kids are a different thing, but if you don't have kids, your animals are your kids, and it is very, very stressful, and I wanted, you know, to give him the best life possible, and this was something that I was gonna take the plunge and do, at especially just his age, such a baby. And I was like, yes, if he's a year, this is definitely gonna probably happen again if I don't do this surgery. So that was definitely a yes, and it's been a success story. So, can you say hi? Can you say hi, Meeks? Ooh, that's his little radar collar, so it doesn't escape. Okay, bye guys.